Hey everybody, sorry we're late tonight. Been kind of a rough day. Had 3 shows that I did today, and I was supposed to be doing something earlier in the evening, and well, to be honest, I was trying to do that and I fell asleep and I didn't have my alarm set to set me up to make sure I was on for this show, so that's why we're late. So I apologize for that, but we're here now, and tonight's episode of Quoth Raven Media Weekend TV Talk is about Stranger Things, which came out several years ago, actually, through Netflix. But I'm just now getting to it via DVD collection. So we're going to talk about season 1 and a little bit about season 2. I didn't get to watch all of season 2. That's part of why I fell asleep. So I was trying to finish it up at the end, but didn't quite do it. So we'll talk a little bit about season 2. We'll probably come back to it a little bit later in a follow-up episode. So let's get straight to work, if we will. Stranger Things season 1, created by Matt and Russ Duffer, starring Winona Ryder, David Harbour, Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gaten Matarazzo, Kaylin McLaughlin, Natalia Dyer, Charlie Heaton, Cara Buono, and Matthew Modine. The production companies are 21 Laps Entertainment, Monkey Massacre, and the Georgia Film Music and Digital Entertainment Office, distributed by Netflix. Genre: science fiction, supernatural thriller. Running time: 41 to 55 minutes per episode. There's 8 episodes, and it was originally released in 2016. Per episode, there's 8 episodes, and it was originally. Sorry about that. With the cut, replace tab and went to replay on my video. Anyway, what it's about. Our show begins in November of '83 in Hawkins, Indiana. A scientist is attacked by an unseen creature in a U.S. government laboratory. Cut to 12-year-old boy, Will Byers, who encounters the creature and mysteriously vanishes while cycling home after a Dungeons and Dragons gaming session with his friends Mike Wheeler, Dustin Henderson, and Lucas Sinclair. Will's single mother, Joyce Byers, reports his disappearance to police chief Jim Hopper, who starts to research and assures Joyce, and almost all missing children are quickly found. The lab's director, Dr. Martin Brenner, investigates an organic substance oozing from the lab's basement, claiming that the girl cannot have gone far. Next, we see a nervous young girl wearing a hospital gown who wanders into a local diner. The diner's owner, Benny, learns from a tattoo of 011 on her arm that her name is 11. The girl basically can't speak or doesn't really know any language or anything, apparently. But Brenner, who's been monitoring the phone lines and other media lines, learns that that's where she is, and he sends agents to the diner after Benny calls social services. The agents then kill Benny, but 11 manages to escape using telekinetic abilities. Joyce's phone short circuits after she receives a mysterious phone call that she believes is from Will. Meanwhile, Will's friends Mike, Dustin, and Lucas come across 11 while searching for Will. The boys bring her to Mike's house, where they disagree on what to do. Mike formulates a plan for 11 to pretend to be a runaway and seek help from his mother Karen, but 11 refuses, revealing that bad men are after her. Will's brother Jonathan visits his estranged father Lonnie in Indianapolis to search for Will, but Lonnie rebuffs him. Hopper's search party then discovers a scrap of hospital gown near the lab. After recognizing Will in a photograph and demonstrating her telekinesis, This is back at the buyer, or not the buyers, but Mike's house. She convinces the boys to trust her as they believe she could find Will. Using the Dungeons and Dragons board, 11 indicates that Will is on the upside down side of the board and is being hunted by a Demogorgon, the creature that we've seen attack the lab person at the beginning of the show. Cut to Mike's sisters Nancy and her friend Barbara, Barb Holland, as they go to a party with her boyfriend Steve Harrington at his place. Searching for Will near Steve's house, Jonathan secretly photographs the party. Joyce receives another phone call from Will and hears music playing from his stereo. So she goes to his bedroom and sees that creature is starting to come through the wall. Meanwhile, we cut back to the party, and Barb, left alone by the swimming pool, gets attacked by a Demogorgon and vanishes into the pool. Barb awakens in the Upside Down, which is a decaying, overgrown alternate dimension. She attempts to escape, but is attacked by the Demogorgon. Cut back to Joyce. She believes Will is communicating through pulses and light bulbs, electrical pulses, either like trying to use Morse code or some sort of language. Hopper is investigating. He thinks that something's going on at the lab, so Brunner allows Hopper to view doctor security footage from the night that Will vanished, leading Hopper to investigate Brunner because he sees some discrepancies about what was going on with the footage, and he thinks that Brunner's hiding something. So he does some investigative work on Brunner and the lab, and he discovers Brunner's involvement with a project called MK Ultra, which is a CIA experiment into the brainwashing potential of psychoactive drugs. And that a woman named Terry Ives alleged years earlier that her daughter was taken by Brunner. 11 recalls Brunner in a flashback sequence, whom she calls Papa, punishing her for refusing to telekinetically hurt a cat. Cut back to the next morning. They go to back to school, and Steve confronts Jonathan because somebody squealed that Jonathan had taken photos of them from the party. And Jonathan destroys his camera and all the pictures. But Nancy's like a little bit upset with him for doing that. That was a little excessive. And she gets some of the torn up photos, and she puts them together later and finds that there's a photo of Barb and realizes that Barb is missing. And what's going on? Did Jonathan do something to Barbara, or what happened? So she returns to Steve's house to investigate, and Nancy doesn't really confront the Demogorgon. What happens is she catches a glimpse of the Demogorgon and manages to leave without being chased down, basically. So, back at the Briars residence, Joyce paints an alphabetic board on her wall with Christmas lights, allowing Will to sign to her that he is right here and that she needs to run. Believing that 11 knows where Will is, the boys ask her to lead them to him. So while they're out, Joyce is getting attacked by the Demogorgon, who's trying to break through the wall in Will's bedroom, and she sees it for the first time, and it freaks her out. Then they cut to 11 leading them to a quarry just as Will's body is apparently recovered from the water by a search party. the boys are infuriated with 11. Why didn't she find him sooner? You knew he was already dead. Why did you do this to us? Type thing. And so they're all kind of mad at each other. She's hurt because she didn't know he was dead or anything like that. So they bring the news to Joyce, and she refuses to believe that the body found at the quarry is Will's. They take her to the morgue, and they won't let her in to the room to identify the body. They only let her look from outside through a window, and which is not standard procedure. As a general rule of thumb with this sort of thing, as you might have watched plenty of movies or TV shows. So that was kind of a red herring right there, that this was not Will's body. But she asked some certain questions, and they don't have it right. So she knows it's not him and doesn't believe that that's him. Of course, Mike feels betrayed by 11 until she proves to him that Will is still alive by channeling his voice through Mike's walkie-talkie. The boys theorize that 11 could use a ham radio at their school to communicate with Will. It has more power than the walkie-talkie. Meanwhile, Nancy's looking at the photograph of Barbara in Jonathan's photo, which she sees this kind of weird shape in the background behind Barbara in the photo, and she takes it to Jonathan, and they look at the photo and realizes that what is in the photo matches his mother's description of the Demogorgon that she's seen break through the wall. So they know now that something's grabbed her. And so Nancy tells the police about Barbara's disappearance, but doesn't tell them about the Demogorgon because who's going to believe? But at least now that they got people looking for Barbara. She later fights with Steve, not only about the fact that he doesn't care that Barbara's missing, but he won't tell anybody about the party to help people investigate, because the police won't investigate the house or the surrounding area around the house until they tell where this happened. And he doesn't want to get in trouble with his dad because he wasn't supposed to have a party, of course. So they have kind of a splitting up for a moment. Hopper himself has some suspicions regarding the authenticity of the body found in the quarry based on what was going on with Brenner and the labs. If they kidnapped the one girl, that as alleged by Terry Ives, maybe they've taken Will and faked the body, and there's something the kid's at the lab somewhere. So he confronts the security guard about it, knocks him out, goes into the morgue, cuts open the body, and of course it's not a real body, it's a fake, and there's stuffing comes out of the body. And once he realizes that, he knows everything that is going on that way, and he goes after the trooper who supposedly found the body, and beats him until he confesses that he was told to lie by Brenner. So now Hopper's hopping mad, and he's going to do something about this. Meanwhile, the boys sneak 11 into their school to use the ham radio, which is really kind of cute because they have a scene where, for those of you who can't tell, the centerpiece of the character is 11. She's got shaved dark hair. They put her in one of Mike's sister Nancy's dresses and give her a blonde wig and all this stuff to make her look different. But anyway, it's kind of a cute scene back in the school where they're trying to get her to the ham radio to try and do her thing. Meanwhile, Joyce hears Will's voice in her living room wall. Tearing away at the wallpaper, she sees Will through an other dimensional partition that looks kind of like a thin membrane into the upside down. And she tries to get to him, but she can't break the membrane, and he can't break the membrane. And she hears the Gorgon coming, and she tells him to flee. And she grabs an axe, and she tries to get through him. And by doing the axe, the membrane ceases to exist, and she just chops a giant hole in her wall instead, trying to get to him. It's a pretty wild scene. Again, like I said, Hopper has gone to the morgue. He has found that the body is a dummy. He breaks into the lab as a result and searches the lab, finding a substance in the basement before being knocked out by the lab's guards. They take him back to his trailer home and make him look like he was on a drunken and drug-induced binge, and so that he will doubt. They're trying to make him doubt he saw what he saw and all this other stuff, but he knows what he saw. He knows perfectly damn well, and so he's a little bit perplexed at what's going on, but he'll figure it out. Meanwhile, the boys ask their science teacher, Mr. Clark, after they've tried to use the radio, which, by the way, they do use radio, but it causes a short circuit of the ham radio, just like it did with the phones in Joyce Byers' home, and starts a fire. So they basically destroyed the ham radio, which is a shame, but it is what it is. They asked their science teacher, Mr. Clark, if it would be possible to travel between alternate dimensions, to which it would be answered that, well, there could be such a thing as a theoretical gate between dimensions. Then Hopper awakens at his house, and like I said, he knows what he saw, and he knows that this is all set up. Well, they've been in his house and set him up there to leave that. They've probably left some sort of listening devices, so he tears the place down, finds the hidden microphone, and of course he knows Joyce was right the whole time. He's already known this, but this is leading into that Joyce was right the whole time, and that the Terry Ives situation with her kid allegedly being kidnapped is probably true as well. After talking to Mr. Clark, their science teacher, the kids posit that a gate would disrupt the Earth's electromagnetic field. So the boys follow their compasses to find where the local disturbance is. 11 recalls memories of being placed in the sensory deprivation tank to allow her to use her telepathically eavesdrop, and how that was how she became able to come across the Demogorgon in the Upside Down. Scared of encountering Demogorgon again, however, 11 redirects their compasses. Lucas misinterprets this as an act of treason, leading Mike and Lucas to fight, and 11 to telekinetically fling Lucas off of Mike several dozen feet in the air. While Dustin and Mike tend to the unconscious Lucas, 11 runs off because she didn't mean to use that much force. She was just protecting Mike, basically. Cutting back to Nancy and Jonathan, they formulate a plan to kill the Demogorgon because they now know that this being exists. Searching in the woods, they encounter a wounded deer. The deer sort of freaks out and sort of attacks Nancy. Was it the deer? Was it Demogorgon? Not really sure about that. But it goes through a gate in the tree, and Nancy follows it through the gate to the Upside Down, which draws the Gorgon's attentions to her. Fleeing through the Upside Down, Nancy finds her way back to the portal, and Jonathan pulls Nancy back through the gate. That night, she's afraid to be alone and asks Jonathan to stay in her bedroom. Steve, attempting to reconcile with Nancy, comes to the house and he sees them together through her bedroom window and assumes that they're together and, messing around behind his back because that's his girlfriend. So now they're mad at each other. So Hopper goes to Joyce, tells her he believes her, and that he has to take her some stuff and investigate some things. So they track down Terry Ives, who was catatonic and being tended to by her sister Becky, who explains that Terry was a Project MK Ultra participant while she was unknowingly pregnant and believes that her daughter Jane was kidnapped by Brenner at birth due to Jane's supposed psychic abilities. But, of course, this has been dismissed by the courts and everything else, mostly because Brenner could pay off the courts to dismiss it. But basically, they have an idea of what's going on now. And Hopper concludes that the girl who escaped the lab is possibly Terry's daughter Jane, but they have to find her before Brenner does. Meanwhile, after they wake up from their ordeal in the woods, Nancy and Jonathan stockpile weapons to kill Demogorgon, theorizing that it's attracted by blood. They put the weapons in the car, and everybody's like, "Hey, Nancy, can't wait to see your movie." And they're like, both of them like, "What's going on? Huh? What?" And then she walks around a corner, and there is painted on the theater marquee, Nancy's a slut and all this stuff, because Steve and his friends painted it on there to embarrass her, humiliate her, because he's mad about what happened, what he thinks he saw happen between Nancy and Jonathan. This leads to Steve and Jonathan getting in a fight, and, well, Jonathan kicking the crap out of Steve. And Jonathan gets arrested by the police because they see the fist fight and they try to break it up. Jonathan accidentally hits an officer in the face. They arrest him for assaulting an officer, which is bullshit. But when someone grabs you and you turn around and you spin around, and you hit someone, that's not assault, guys. I mean, it's, hey, get off me. He doesn't know who's behind him. It's stupid. I hate when cops pull crap like that. Use some common sense. But anyway, they arrest him. Steve and his friends flee. They never go arrest Steve and his friends for being there. They don't listen. So it was a little bit annoying with that whole thing, with that scene. But anyway, they take Nancy and Jonathan to the hospital, and they also check his car, and they see all these weapons in the car, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And, won't release him because of all the weapons and stuff in his car. Meanwhile, 11 is running around after having fled from the boys after she telekinetically knocked out Lucas, and she's spent the night in the woods. She wakes up disheveled, and she walks into a grocery store and shoplifts several boxes of Eggo waffles. It's sort of a cute scene, but honestly, not necessary to the show, in my opinion. But the boys are looking for 11. Mike and Dustin are ambushed by a couple of bullies, and they're trying to force Mike to jump off the side of a cliff to his death, basically. But she's nearby, and she rescues him by using her powers. And she telekinetically grabs him out of the air and floats him back to safety. And then the bully is like freaking out. He's got a knife. And, well, he's already basically attempted to kill Mike, drive Mike off the cliff. And this is the same bully that in a previous scene had gotten humiliated in front of the entire school because 11 made him piss his pants. Only he didn't know that's what was going on. But now she's really angry because he's attempting to kill her friends. So she uses her powers to break his arm, and the two bullies flee. Because she's so tired and weak from using her power, she collapses and has a flashback of being asked by Brenner to contact Demogorgon, and in her terror, inadvertently opening the gate, which has allowed the creature to come into our world. She cheerfully admits this to Mike, and that she feels responsible for allowing Demogorgon to enter this dimension. In the meantime, Lucas, who's looking for Will, has figured out that it has to go with something to do with the lab. And he sees a bunch of agents and he figures they're out looking for 11, preparing to ambush Mike's house. So he gets on the walkie-talkie and warns them that the agents are searching for 11. And the three of them flee the house on bike, but they're being chased by by Brenner and his men in group of vans. 11 telekinetically flips one of the agents' vans that blocks their path, and the kids escape. Lucas then reconciles with Mike and 11, and the kids hide from the agents. The police contact Hopper, who's with Joyce, explain that they've got Jonathan and what's going on. And so the two of them race back to town, get to the sheriff's office, and Nancy and Jonathan reveal their knowledge of the Demogorgon to Joyce and Hopper. So those four are now in the know of what's going on, and he's like, okay, Hopper's like, okay, we're gonna get these charges dropped and stuff. And of course, the cop doesn't want to drop the charges because it's an idiot, and it's a little bit foolishness. But anyway, Nancy knows how to get a hold of the kids because they're looking for the kids now. And Nancy goes back to the house and gets Will's walkie-talkie and uses it to contact Mike. And they try to meet everyone at the buyer's house. But first they have to find them. And the kids are hiding in a certain place. And, of course, the bad guys get there first, but Hopper gets there just in time to rescue the kids, and then they meet together at the buyer's house. Of course, now they've met 11, and they know that this is definitely Jane Ives. The Barb asks 11 to telepathically search for Will and Barb, but her earlier uses of her powers have left her far too drained to do much of anything. To amplify her powers, they break into the middle school and try to build a makeshift sensory deprivation tank. I'm not sure that what they did was anything like a sensory deprivation tank, but okay, whatever, type thing. Using her telepathy, 11 finds Barbara dead in the Upside Down, and then finds Will alive, hiding in the Upside Down version of his backyard fort. Realizing that the gate is in the basement of the lab, Hopper and Joyce break back into the lab, but they're apprehended by security guards. Nancy and Jonathan head back to the buyer's house, planning to attract and kill the Demogorgon, and hopefully find a way to get through to the Upside Down after they kill the Demogorgon. Hopper, who is haunted by the death of his daughter Sarah from years ago, gives up Eleven's location to Brenner in exchange to allow him and Joyce to enter the Upside Down to rescue Will. Back at the Byers' house, Nancy and Jonathan have cut their hands open to draw blood and attract the Demogorgon to themselves. Steve arrives just as the Demogorgon appears because he's intending to apologize to Jonathan about their fight because he realizes that what he did was stupid, and but he's basically still being an idiot. Nancy's like, "Get out of here! I don't want to talk to you. You're an ass." But then the Demogorgon breaks through the wall, and the three of them have to fight together to stave it off, and then they light it on fire, forcing it to retreat back into the Upside Down. Of course, now Steve knows what's going on, and Steve is like, "Holy crap. Now I understand what you two were doing together and everything. I'm really an idiot." 11 and the boys are hiding at the middle school when Brenner and his agents arrive to abduct 11. They're trying to get away. They're outnumbered, but she kills most of them before collapsing from exhaustion. The Demogorgon appears and kills a bunch more of the guys, and even attacks Brenner, seemingly killing Brenner. Hopper and Joyce find Will in the Upside Down, meanwhile, unconscious, with a tendril down his throat, kind of like a facehugger type situation from Aliens. While he's still stuck inside a wall of this weird stuff as well. But they pull the tendril out and get him out of the thing he's stuck in, and they revive him using CPR. The Demogorgon finds the kids, and 11 disintegrates it as a last act of protection of the others. And in so doing, she kind of disappears into a kind of like the same thing as what happens when Thanos does the snap and they turn to ash. That's what happens to her. She turns to ash and disappears. They don't really show how Hopper or Joyce bring Will back over from the Upside Down into back to our dimension, which I didn't like. But anyway, he's hospitalized in our world, getting treatment and everything. And they cut to a month later, and Nancy's back together with Steve, but they're both friends with Jonathan, and they replace his camera as a Christmas present. And at the Byer family Christmas get-together, Will excuses himself from the dinner table and goes to the bathroom, where he pukes out a slug into the sink and seemingly briefly ships back to the Upside Down and then back to our dimension. He then returns to the rest of the group, hiding this experience that he just had from everyone else. Okay, so that's the first season. Clearly, the Duffers were riffing from all sorts of 1980s and early 90s pop cultural things, everything from Stephen King's novels and movies, particularly Firestarter and The Dead Zone, to Steven Spielberg's E.T. to Extraterrestrial, the boys' D&D sessions, the bike riding excursions in the van. They're right. That scene was so, oh, geez, please don't telekinetically lift the kids on their bikes over the van and into the air, because I thought for sure that was too obvious, and thank goodness they didn't do that. Instead, they flipped the van over, which was a better solution in that scene. But there's lots of other little things that are obviously homages and wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the audience who knows any of this stuff and what it's related to, but it makes it less unique and original to me. The cast was great. I didn't have any problem with any of the cast. But the story is slow. Oh my God, is it slow? Holy molasses, Batman. If I had to watch this, 1 week or one episode at a time, instead of, in a marathon type thing, I would have lost interest by the third episode and given up. I just would have. It was just too slow in their pacing of the story. But because I did get to watch it on DVD, and I did get to watch it marathon-wise, I did stick with it. And the story finally picked up around the 5th episode out of 8. 4th or 5th episode, I guess. Enough to keep me interested enough to see the rest of the season through. I was not cool with Barbara being killed off in the story. And I would have liked to have seen her find and protect Will in the Upside Down and then sacrifice herself to protect him rather than, basically disappears and we never see anything until, the body's found in the Upside Down. I felt like that was a real disrespect to that character and the actors because the actors didn't really get to do much of anything. It was just like, I don't know. I just didn't like that. And I didn't like the ending in the respect that they didn't really explain how Hopper and Joyce got Will back to our dimension. And it was implied, in my opinion, that when they sent Joyce and Hopper into the Upside Down, everybody seemed to be fleeing the lab. I thought they were destroying the lab. They didn't, apparently, but that's what I would have done. But, anyway. It was an interesting but slow 8 episodes. A lot of stuff could have been edited out. I would not have had the grocery scene where Eleven steals the Eggos. It didn't do anything really for forwarding the story. It was just a cute scene. Not needed. There were some other scenes where Joyce and her employer, she's getting supplies at the hardware store repeatedly from him. And they were redundant and probably could have been edited down to one scene where she got everything she needed at one time if it had been written properly and scheduled, paced properly. This would have made more time for Barb and Will in the Upside Down and given Barb something to do as a character rather than just be nothing. Like I said, I would have blown up the whole lab because the operation is blown. So the best thing to do is just get 11 and flee the area and reset up your plans somewhere else. But that's just me. Assuming they would get 11, it's not like they would have needed to keep the other kids alive. They would have taken out the kids and blown up the school too. That's just how Brenner and that whole clandestine group strikes me. So, like I said, it was okay. Next is season 2. Now, there's 9 episodes in this one. Same general information for production companies and running times and cast. Now, I've only gotten to watch part of the show, so we'll talk about a little bit what I've gotten through. It's a year later, October 28th, 1984, and a girl with a psychic power to make people see things and a tattoo reading 008 on her arm is part of a criminal gang that manages to rob a bank and get away in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, at Hawkins, Indiana, the town prepares for Halloween. A new girl at school, Maxine Max Mayfield, captures the boy's attention. Joyce is dating her old high school classmate, Bob Newby. That's Joyce Hopper, the mom, or Joyce Byers, rather, the mom of Will. Hopper investigates a field of pumpkins that are mysteriously rotting, and conspiracy theorist Murray Bauman investigates people who have cited 11, believing her to be a Russian spy. Mike and Nancy deal with their respective losses of 11 and Barb, and Will has been experiencing episodes of apparent hallucinations or shifts of the Upside Down and an enormous tentacled shadow monster. Joyce and Hopper take Will to see the lab's new director, Dr. Sam Owens, which, why would they do this? But that's what they're doing, who's been giving Will routine medical exams ever since Will's come back. Owens theorizes that Will's episodes are PTSD brought on by the anniversary of his disappearances. But the gate in the lab's basement has been growing, and this worries Owens, but he doesn't tell them about that because that would signify that something is actually wrong with the kid and it's connected to the gate. So, of course, he's hiding stuff too. Nancy and Steve have dinner with Barbara's parents, who still believe that their daughter is just missing, and they've hired Murray to find her. The conspiracy theorist nut. Um, they cut to Hopper, who goes home to a cabin in the woods where he secretly lives with Eleven. Flashbacks reveal that Eleven escaped from the Upside Down when she defeated the Demogorgon. Her body dissipated into the Upside Down at the end of last season, and she was forced to hide from agents, but she did find a membrane to break through into our dimension, and she's been hiding ever since. And so it's now Halloween, and Eleven asks Hopper if she can go trick-or-treating, but Hopper insists that she needs to remain hidden until he can reach an agreement with Owens that allows her to live a normal life, which frustrates her because she's basically homebound. She can't need to talk to anybody, nothing. She's just in hiding. More pumpkin fields rot across town, and Hopper discovers an organic substance similar to the substance he saw in the lab in the pumpkin fields. This is concerning. Nancy wants to tell Barbara's parents about her death, but Steve says it's a bad idea, as agents might then come after all of them if they ever told anyone the truth. Instead, he takes her to a Halloween party where she gets drunk and berates Steve for not having any sympathy for Barbara's parents. The boys go trick-or-treating and are later joined by the new girl, Max. During the night, Will has another episode and tells Mike about his visions, leading Mike to admit that he's been trying to contact Eleven because he didn't believe Eleven was dead either. Eleven tries to contact Mike using her powers, but is unsuccessful. And Dustin returns home after trick-or-treating and finds a strange creature in his trash can. Unfortunately, this is the end of the second episode, and that's as far as I've gotten. What I think about this season so far. They take the Duffers, who are the showrunners of this show, they're the writers, directors, executive producers. They sure like to take their sweet-ass time telling a story. I will finish season 2, and I'll do a follow-up video tomorrow, probably. But overall, from what I have watched so far, it's been moderately good. I can remember fandom going absolutely nuts over this show when it came out originally in 2016. But I'm sorry, it just doesn't really live up to that level of greatness and hype. To me, I'm glad I saw it now after the everything's died down, because I know if I'd watched it when it first came out, there'd have been all kinds of bickering back and forth over me not being totally impressed. But it is an entertaining show. It's just, it's above average, I guess. It's just that there's a little bit too much homaging of things in the show, in my opinion. Whoops. Do it this way. There we go. A little bit too much homaging of different things. Hawkins, Indiana, Erie, Indiana. Like I said, there's the bike riding scenes that are too much E.T. extraterrestrial. There's stuff going on again in this scene, or in this season, second season, that was kind of obvious about the pardon me. I'm trying to find what was that I didn't like. Anyway, the whole Halloween stuff now. We're doing Halloween, which was just, kind of reflective of both the Halloween films, but also, again, the Halloween trick-or-treating scene from E.T. again. So they're really trying to lay it on thick with that, and it's kind of, but anyway, I do give 4 stars for the season 1. It is rated TV 14. And I will review the rest of the stuff next time, tomorrow, sometime probably. if I can manage to watch the rest of the second season tonight. As for tomorrow, otherwise, I'm trying to find. That's what I gotta do. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Tomorrow will be Booktober Day 17, Not As We Know It by Tom Avery. There will be a live draw session as well. Probably what will happen is I'll probably talk about Stranger Things while I'm doing the live draw. Or maybe I'll do a separate live thing. I don't know. We'll see. Monday next week, Booktober Day 18 will be Captain Marvel, 2 different books by Kelly Thompson and friends. Tuesday will be Paranormal by Dan Christensen. Wednesday will be another Booktober Day. I haven't decided what book it's going to be just yet. Thursday will be Booktober Day 21. And what did you get at the comic shop this week? Or what did I get also from the mail? On Wednesday for Booktober, we might also have a Wednesday shopping stuff that's on the crowdfunding scene as well. Depends on my time schedule this week. Friday will be another Booktober Day, and Saturday will be another Booktober Day, and Movie Talk Night, where we talk about several classic horror films. And we'll do day 1 of that next Saturday, and then on Saturday the 30th, I think we'll do that as well. Yeah. So that's what we'll have 2 movie nights back to back about horror films, classic horror films, moving forward for the rest of the month. So that's what we got looking forward to for the rest of this week. In the meantime, if you like this video or you think others might, we'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get support from my channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. Sorry that this episode ran a little bit later than we planned. If you want to reach out to me on social media, I'm at Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, and Twitter at LewisBrightRave2. You can see some of my own artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. If you have questions, comments, suggestions for topics for me to discuss, books you want to see me review, you want to commission artwork, whatever, Quoth the Raven, LBR72@gmail.com is the best place to reach me. If you can't reach me there, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. And that's all for tonight, folks. So we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching and have a good weekend.